Hari Om. Let us chant the last 10 verses of chapter 7, starting from verse 21. Yo yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhaya chittumichati tasya charam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham sataya shraddhaya yuktaha तस्याराधनमीहते लभते च ततः कामान् मयैव विहितान् हितान् अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवत्यल्पमेधसाम् देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि अव्यक्तं व्यक्तिमापन्नं मन्यन्ते मामबुद्धयः परं भावमजानन्तः ममाव्ययमनुत्तमम् नाहं प्रकाशः सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मामजमव्ययम् वेदाहं समतीतानि वर्तमानानि चार्जुन भविष्यानि च भूतानि मां तु वेद न कश्चन इच्छाद्वेषसमुत्तेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप येषां त्वन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ताः भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः जरामरणमोक्षाय मामाश्रित्य यतन्ति ये ते ब्रह्म तद्विदुः कृत्स्नम् अध्यात्मं कर्म चाखिलम् साधिभूताधिदैवं मां साधियज्ञं च ये विदुः प्रयाणकालेऽपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसः।
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। There is a question with reference to verse 20. In the context of verse 20 in this chapter, I said if you are analyzing the life and understanding life, what to expect and what not to expect from wealth and family, etc. That was the statement. So analyzing means what to expect from family, what not to expect from family, wealth, what they can give and what they cannot give. That is the statement. The question is from that statement. The first part of the question is how Shastra has defined security and how the ignorant man has defined security. Okay, what does the ignorant man think and what does the Shastra say? That's what the question. What does the ignorant man think? The ignorant man think peace, security, happiness lies in acquisition. What does the ignorant man think? Ignorant person thinks peace, security, happiness comes through acquisition. It can be acquiring a wealth, it can be acquiring family, it can be acquiring name, it can be acquiring fame, or it can be a combination of all put together. But for an ignorant man, happiness is an acquisition. What does happiness in acquisition means? I am not having it, therefore I am unhappy. If I have it, I will be happy. Are you able to follow? I am not having it, therefore I am unhappy. If this is the reasoning, what is the conclusion? Happiness lies in having it. That's all. So that's how the ignorant man goes into the vicious cycle, because he equates his unhappiness to not having something. Since he has equated his happiness or peace or security to not having something, he always believes if I have it, I'll be peaceful, happy, secure. Shastra comes and says, your peace, your security, your happiness, your contentment, all doesn't come from acquisition. Are you able to follow? This is the first question asked. How Shastra has defined security? Ignorant person has defined security in acquisition. How does Shastra define security? Shastra says insecurity is ignorance. There is no such thing called defining what security is. Shastra doesn't say this is secure. Shastra says insecurity is ignorance. Shastra doesn't say this is security. Attaining liberation, you will feel secure. Shastra doesn't say that. Therefore, Shastra says all that is there is no such thing called security. Insecurity is born out of ignorance. Question is, how does ignorant person understand that? How does what does Shastra say? Shastra doesn't define security. Shastra always says insecurity is a product of ignorance. Security doesn't come from acquisition, because the very insecurity, the very agitation, the very void, the very emptiness that is driving acquisition, all this is born out of ignorance. That's how Shastra defines it. That's how Shastra defines. It is ignorance. Manifestation of ignorance is a sense of insecurity, etc. Ignorance is the disease. Symptom is sense of insecurity. One is the disease, another is the symptom. Understand it like that. We have said it any number of times. One is the disease and another is the symptom. You can do symptomatic treatment or you can get rid of the disease. Vedanta says get rid of the disease, don't do symptomatic treatment. What are the symptoms? The peace, the insecurity, the unhappiness, the frustration, the agitation, all these are symptoms. What is the disease? All these are symptoms. They are not the disease. If you misunderstand this to be the disease, you have a problem. This is not the disease. These are symptoms. Just as when the child is having 102 degrees temperature, the 102 degrees temperature is not the disease, correct? Do you understand that? It's a symptom of the disease. So you need to, if you do something to the disease, the temperature recedes by itself. Or you can directly keep attending to the temperature and every few hours the temperature keeps reappearing. That's what is happening in our life. We attend to the symptoms and the symptoms keeps reappearing. Symptoms keeps reappearing. And then we keep on crying. What else do we do? We know only one thing to do. What? Cry. But we will not do the right thing. We'll only cry, but we will not do the right thing. Why? Because we assume that the symptom are the diseases. Are you okay? Therefore, Shastra says, disease is ignorance, symptoms are these. Do not, these symptoms is an indicate, these symptoms are the indicators of the disease. Wherever you have these symptoms, you understand that you have the disease. Don't try to attend to the symptom, misunderstanding that to be the disease. Understand that whatever you do to the symptom is only temporary. It will not remove the disease. For symptomatic treatment gives a temporary relief. You got to go to the root of it. And what is the root of it? Ignorance is the root of it. And nobody is interested in getting rid of the disease. Everybody wants to get rid of the symptoms only. Sir, the symptoms are sir customer. Let the disease be there. But temperature, 101 degree temperature, I don't want. Say something by which I will get rid of the temperature. But let the disease remain. I'm not bothered about the disease as long as symptoms are not showing up. As long as symptoms are not showing up, I'm happy, sir. Why should I bother? Vedanta comes and says, Pramodaha, Vimudaha is this person. Why? Because as long as the disease is there, symptoms will come. Symptoms will manifest. If you do not want the symptoms, attend to the disease. Are you okay? How Shastra defined security? Shastra says insecurity is ignorance. That's all. There is no such thing called security. Insecurity itself is ignorance. Are you okay? For an ignorant, how Shastra has defined peace and happiness? The next part of the question. There are few parts to the question. Part A, part B, part C, part D, part D. I covered part A of the question. Now part B to the question. Venkat. Then only part B to the question. How Shastra has defined peace and happiness. How an ignorant man has defined peace and happiness. Shastra doesn't define happiness again. Shastra doesn't define happiness again. How does ignorant person has defined peace and happiness? What is the definition of an ignorant man? Very, very straightforward. Very straightforward. How does an ignorant man define it? Instead of asking how an ignorant man has defined peace and happiness, you should ask, where do I think peace and happiness lies? Up the question geta, you know the right answer. Where do you think peace and happiness lies? That is an ignorant person. So yeah, you need not ask how does an ignorant person, as though ignorant person is some third person. Yeah, correct, no. You are that ignorant person. Yeah, when you are that ignorant person. So you should ask, how did the Shastra define peace and happiness? How do I define peace and happiness? How does an ignorant man, how do you define peace and happiness? Again, it's very straightforward. What? Dukkha nivritti, sukha prapti. Under any circumstances, pain should not come at all. At no circumstances, sukha must leave. If dukkha doesn't come at all and sukha doesn't leave at all, that is called peace and happiness. Correct? This is how an ignorant person believes. How does an ignorant person define it? Pain should not come at all. And happiness should not leave at all. And what is the nature of the world? That's why he is ignorant. What is the nature of the world? Mishratvam. It is mixture. It is a necessary combination of Sukha and Dukkha. 3 words define world. Mishratvam, Agamapayinaha, Anityaha. This is the world. Mishratvam means it's a combination of good and bad. Combination of Sukha and Dukkha. Mishram means mixture. You go to the shop here, they sell something as Madras mixture, no? Yeah, there's something they sell it as Madras mixture. What is Madras mixture? எல்லாத்துலயும் தூக்கி போட்டா அது மெட்ராஸ் மிக்ஸ்சர், isn't it? Put everything together. All the 100 things can be sold separately and put everything together and sell. That is called Madras mixture. Life equals Madras mixture. Because it is Mishram. What is Mishram? The Mishram of Sukha and Dukkha. When Sukha comes, excited. When Dukkha comes, crying. So life is a combination of laughing and crying. Mishratvam. One time you will laugh, another time you will cry. And what is the hope? You should keep laughing only all the time and not cry at all. This is natural answer. How can you call that as wrong? Isn't it normal for a human being to think like that? Correct. Normal human being, Ram Subramanian. Understand it like that. Whenever you say normal human being, ignorant human being. A normal human being is an ignorant human being. And the ignorant human being will think like this. What? Only Sukha must be there and Dukkha should not come at all, and only Sukha must be there. He is a normal human being. Correct. A normal human being is an ignorant human being. And an ignorant human being is first we say normal human being, and then we say normal human being is an ignorant human being, and then we say ignorant human being is a foolish human being, and then we go to Krishna. Mudaha, Pramudaha, Vimudaha, PhD in, to that extent he goes. How does an ignorant person define? Ignorant person defines as this. Dukkha should not come, Sukha should not leave. Dukkam varave kudadu, Sukham pogave kudadu. Museum lokanda, only if you only in the graveyard it will happen. In life, these two will continue. This is answering the second part of the question. The third, I said different roles you play the role. The question, 5 parts of the question has one thing in common. What to expect, what not to expect. What to expect, what not to expect. Don't have any expectations. The question is what to expect, what not to expect. You follow? As far as the roles are concerned, remember this. Very important for everybody to understand. Every role has a script. Stick to the script. Every role has a script. Either you can write your own script or follow the script. If you are following the script, that's called dharmic, playing the role. Every role has a script. Script means what? Dog means, what is the script that the dog has to follow? What is the script the dog should do? Anybody? Barking. Barking. Stay loyal. First it has to bark. Unnecessarily loyalty human beings. Human being expectation from the dog. What is the role of the dog? The dog will, what is the script? It should bark. Doesn't matter anybody, it will bark. Every role has a script. Stick to that script objectively. Stick to that script objectively. That's where Dharma Shastra has defined that role. If you are a son, these are the things you should do, you should not do. If you are a wife, these are the things you should do, you should not do. If you are a husband, this is what you should do, this is what you should. It is very clearly defined. If you stick to the script, the play will be good. Stage level, if you start making your own script, what will happen? On the stage, you start making your own script. What will happen? This is what is happening today. Everybody wants to write their own. Everybody wants to write their own script. Who are you to tell what I should do? Who are you to say what I should do? Who is Shastra to say what I will do? What? I will do what I like to do. Are you able to follow? So, what to expect from different roles the individual play? Objectivity. All the roles that you should play with objectivity. What not to expect? Should never get involved. In any role that you play, you should not get involved at all. What you should do and what you should not do. You should play the role according to the script objectively. What you should not do, never get involved in the role. Never get involved in the role. If you get involved, what will happen? The sign of involvement is mental agitations. Are you able to follow? The sign of involvement is mental agitations. What are the different roles that you play? Whatever the roles are, you know those roles. And you know the common sense in those roles. We have said that already. Each and every role, there is a common sense. What is the common sense? What is the common sense principle that should drive the role? What you don't want others to do to you, you don't do it to another. If you don't want anybody to cause pain to you, you should not cause pain to another. If you cause pain to another, in return, what you will get? Pain. Are you able to follow? So, each and every role, what you should do, what you should not do, play the roles according to the script objectively. And those things that you know, we are not children here. We know what to do, what not to do. If the same question asked by a 10-year-old child, I will give a different answer. Here, that answer is not required because we know what to do, what not to do broadly. Stick to that first. That is answering the third one. What worldly knowledge can give and what worldly knowledge cannot give. For all these questions, you should keep one formula. Anything worldly has three things. What are the three things? Anything worldly. Therefore, there is no need to keep you need not break up because they are not separate. It's not like physics, chemistry, biology, three separate things. Anything in relation to the world has three things in common. What are the three things in common? Mishratvam, Agamapayinatvam, Anityatvam. Or you can call it as Mishram, Agamapayinaha, and Anitya. What does worldly knowledge give? If you have a worldly knowledge, what does worldly knowledge give? It gives you the earning capacity. You can earn your living. Worldly knowledge, what worldly knowledge can give? It teaches you how to earn your living. What worldly knowledge cannot give you? How to live, it cannot give you. It can teach you how to earn a living, but it cannot give you how to live. Earning a living is different from actual living. Earning a living means what? Your bread and butter. You can buy comforts, you can buy clothing, you can buy a shelter, you can buy a bigger shelter, you can buy 3-4 shelters in different parts of the world. All this the worldly knowledge can give. What worldly knowledge cannot give? You can buy a cycle, you can buy a car, you can buy a helicopter, or you can buy a plane. Or like the Saudi king, you can have 10 planes when you are traveling. But what worldly knowledge can give? Worldly knowledge can only give a skill by which you can acquire wealth. What it cannot give? What it cannot give? What worldly knowledge cannot give? If worldly knowledge can give that, none of us will be sitting in this classroom. Because all have worldly knowledge here. Are you able to follow? All have worldly knowledge, all have some skill, some technique, and still why are we sitting? Because something that we are seeking through the knowledge, worldly knowledges cannot give. What is it? Permanency it cannot give. What worldly knowledge cannot give? Carefully follow this. This is very, very important. Reflect on this. Worldly knowledge can never remove your ignorance. Knowledge is to remove the ignorance, and worldly knowledge will keep you in ignorance always. That is why there is no anta there. Here there is an anta. So knowledge is to remove ignorance, correct? What worldly knowledge will do? Worldly knowledge will always keep you ignorant. Ignorant in one field or ignorant of the other fields. And the way in which knowledge is growing now, you can't even say you know one subject thoroughly, isn't it? Because the speed with which it is growing, you can't even say. So what worldly knowledge does? It cannot remove ignorance. It will keep you in ignorance. Why? More you know, that much more remains to be known. More you know, that much more remains to be known. That is the worldly knowledge. That's the what you should not expect from worldly knowledge. You should never expect wisdom from worldly knowledge. You should never consider yourself wise because you have worldly knowledge. Are you able to follow? Why? Because more you gain, more you need to. Are you able to follow? What is ignorance? You achieve something, what next? That is ignorance. You get something, it doesn't stop there. You achieve something, immediately comes. What next? What next? What next? For ignorance, ignorance perpetuates itself. It will go on multiplying itself. That is why they say desires perpetuates itself. Ignorance perpetuates itself, meaning it will go on multiplying. A time will come there will not be an end at all to it. That's why here we call it as Veda Anta. Anta means the end. It is not the end of knowledge. The knowledge you gain, ignorance comes to an end. Yeah. It's a pun. It is the end of ignorance. Where in all worldly knowledges, ignorance can never end. For you know something, that knowing removes one ray of ignorance, but that knowing opens up, and the knowing opens up another 10 areas. A time will come where out of sheer fatigue you will stop. Out of sheer tiredness, out of sheer fatigue, or old age instruments not cooperating, you will stop. But Anta doesn't come at all. what worldly knowledges give and what worldly knowledges don't give. Worldly knowledges doesn't give knowledge, it perpetuates ignorance. So, how much ever knowledge you gain, what you should understand? More you know, more you will become aware of how much you cannot know. So, worldly knowledge perpetuates ignorance. Here, what is the spiritual knowledge, shastric knowledge? An end. And an end. End of what? Don't say the end of knowledge, even though it is symbolic. It's not the end of knowledge, it is the end of ignorance. Ganesh, புரியுதா? Worldly knowledge எங்க end இருக்கும்? Ignorance end ஆனதான knowledge stays. But ignorance is more and more ignorant. Knowledge cannot end. But here it comes to an end. So what to expect from worldly knowledge? It will never end. Never ending, ever agitating. Something that doesn't end and all keeps you agitated all the time, because somehow it should have an. Are you able to follow? What family can give and what family cannot give? The question that she is asking is what to expect and what not to expect. If you can understand what it can give and what it cannot give, accordingly you know what to expect and what not to expect. Are you able to follow? What to expect and what not to expect. You cannot give a list of don't expect this, expect this. You cannot give that list. For there's no list like that. What it can give and what it cannot give. If you understand that, you know what to expect, what not to expect. What family, children, etc. What can they give? Peace and happiness, sir. Family gives peace and happiness, sir. Family teaches you service and sacrifice. If you fail here, go back, get strengthened and come back. If you fail in service and sacrifice at the first standard, you cannot go to second standard. So what to expect from family, children? What are they for? What is family, children for? For your happiness, sir? No. They are there to teach you what service and sacrifice is. But I can't, that family and all I can't serve, sir. But others I can serve. But family I cannot serve. And in the family also, some persons are okay, some are not okay. Amongst those who are not okay, only one person. It will boil down like that. Are you able to follow? It will boil down like that. It has got nothing to do with the person. It is to do with the purpose of the family. What is the purpose of the family? In some other context, long back, I told you this. It is called Grihastha Ashrama. It is called Grihastha Ashrama in Sanskrit. Shrama means difficulty, correct? Shrama na difficulty. Vidya na knowledge. Avidya na no knowledge. Shrama, what do we say? Grihastha. How do we say that? In English scholar irukkranga, in Sanskrit pandit irukkranga. Sanskrit pandit. How do you say that? Correct. Ashrama. The word, if you prefix with a, it means more. Shrama means difficulty. Ashrama means more difficulty. Life is divided into 4 stages. Brahmacharya, ashrama, grihastha, ashrama, vanaprastha, ashrama, sannyasa, anga kuda happiness illa. Sannyasa, ashrama. அப்படின்னா one thing is common. What? Ashaji. One thing is common. What? Ashrama. இல்லையா சென்னையா இருந்தாலும் மும்பையா இருந்தாலும் ஆசிரமா தான். That doesn't change. That doesn't change. So what to expect? That ashrama will not reduce. Ashrama will be there. Are you able to follow? It is a very realistic understanding of what life is. So family, spouse, children, joint family, extended family, I don't know what all types of families are there, isn't it? Single, joint, multiple, extended. There are so all these are meant for what? To teach you. So are you able to be selfless at least in relation to one person? It's an experiment to test yourself. What? Are you able to be selfless in relation to one person? Are you able to be objective with reference to one person? Are you able to be objective with one person? Are you able to be service oriented and sacrificial oriented with reference to one person? So family is a unit meant to teach you service and sacrifice. Happy family kadaive kedayadhu. There's no such thing called happy family, just as there's no such thing called happy life, because life is divided into 4 stages: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa, and all 4 has one common suffix. What is the one common suffix? Ashrama. It means what? It's not the pessimistic way of looking at it. It is a realistic way of looking at it, so that you know what to expect, what not to expect. You understand the reality, and based on the reality, you know what to expect, what not to expect. To summarize everything into one, in order to, when you understand the reality, you know what you should expect, and you know what you should not expect. The moment you understand the reality, what actually happens? Expectations goes out. It's not that reality will teach you what to expect, what not expect. The moment you understand the reality, expectations goes out. And expectations goes out, you lead a life of, you lead what is supposed to be called as a normal life. And you can't tell a person don't have expectations. Understand the reality, accordingly you know what to expect, what not to expect. What to expect from family, spouse. Okay. What all you are expecting now, as a result of which nothing is working. Understand it like that. Are you able to follow? What is it that you are expecting now that it is becoming a disaster? All expectations boil down to one thing fundamentally. What? Selfishness. Selfishness. That's all. All expectations fundamentally boils down to selfishness, and everybody must cater to, whoever caters to my selfishness, they are good. Whoever doesn't cater to my selfishness, they are bad. But boils down to what? Selfishness. Are you able to follow? Selfishness means self-attention. Selfishness means self-attention. Attention upon yourself all the time. And you can never get tired of self-attention. Huh? God. First ray of knowledge means you are tired of self-attention. When you are tired and frustrated of self-attention, you have started the journey. The spiritual journey towards reality has started only when you are frustrated with the self-attention. Self-attention technically is called selfishness. And all that time your attention is upon yourself only, isn't it? For everybody, they are the center of the universe. And everything happens for them or everybody thinks like that. That's why no two human beings relate at all. You know that? If at all there is a conversation between two human beings, there's no conversation. Absolutely, there is no conversation. This fellow independently talks what they want to talk, and the other person independently talks what they want to talk. You sit and watch the conversation between the two. Hilarious life is. That's why for a philosopher, that he doesn't need any entertainment at all. Just the eyes open itself, yeah, comedy is there in front. Yeah. Aditya channel la vana. Yeah. Shankare or Aditya channel அப்புறம் என்னத்துக்கு இல்லையா சங்கர்னா SRL Shankar. இல்லையா அவரே ஒரு ஆதித்யா சேனல் தான், isn't it? Anything he talks is like that. Whatever he does is like that. Whatever he doesn't do is also like that. Yeah. I told him, don't go to the doctor, hospital. 3 days later, he called me and said, I got COVID. Why? I went to the hospital. What to do now? Don't go, you will get, no, I will go. Went. 3 days later, phone call, COVID. And then every half an hour, COVID report also. What will I do with that report now? Yeah. This injection, that injection, what will I do with all that report? Are you able to follow? Life becomes so entertaining. What is entertainment? How everybody is paying attention to oneself only and constantly manipulating the other to do that. Are you able to follow? It's not only paying attention to yourself, you manipulate the other to do that. The husband tries to manipulate the wife tries to manipulate the husband, and this manipulation is called as love. This manipulation is called as love. Husband manipulates the love, not manipulates the love. Actually, it is manipulating the love only. So they go on constantly manipulating with one another. A time comes where how long can the other person get manipulated? They'll get frustrated. And when they get frustrated, they'll blame the convenient is to blame the other. So what to expect, what not to expect? Self-attention. Family is not for self-attention. Family is to shift the attention from you. அப்படியே உல்டாவாயிடுது. Family unit is misunderstood as paying. It's a wonderful unit. Marriage and family and all that is such a wonderful unit designed to shift the attention out of you. Today it has become family unit is taken for granted that they should pay attention to you, isn't it? The wife says it is my right. The husband says it is my right. So what you should expect, what you should not expect. Anything that brings attention on you, you should not do. Anything where you can shift the attention out of you, do that. Love is still an emptier sound. The modern fair ones just on earth, unknown are found to warm the turtle's nest. Remember that quote? Love is an emptier sound. The modern fair ones just they play around with that word love. They play around with that word love. On earth, unknown. On earth, unknown. Nobody knows it, because when you want the other to pay attention to you and you are calling that as love, love becomes unknown. The modern fair ones just found to form only the turtle's nest. Turtle's nest, it's a temporary warmth. You know, it is hatching, it gives a temporary warmth. After a period of time, the warmth itself becomes a burden. It is a warmth, and after a period of time, the warmth itself becomes a burden. And when it becomes a burden, you want to, the warmth at one point of time turns into a burden, and when it turns into a burden, you want to get rid of it. Therefore, what does it mean? Shastra says, what does Shastra say? And what does an ignorant person say? To summarize the answer, all that you are doing is wrong. Shastra says that. The Guru says that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. The Guru says that. Anything you do, he will say, the Guru says it's wrong. You get very irritated. Why can't you accept that I also do one or two good things also? Why do you have to say everything is wrong? And he says, no, how can there be one or two good things? Everything that comes out of you is. So how to understand what Shastra says? Whatever you feel like doing, exactly the opposite is the Shastra. Understand it like that, it becomes easy. Selfishness is the right thing to do according to you. What the Shastra will say, selflessness is correct. Venkatachalam, understand it like that, it's very easy. To know Shastra is not at all difficult. It's very easy. What all you are thinking and doing is right. Exactly the opposite of it is right. So it doesn't really matter. Anything that you do is, if you get married, it's wrong. If you divorce, that becomes right. That is also, it doesn't make any difference. Why? Because at the end of the day, both are mistakes. What difference does it make? Your right hand will be cut or the left hand will be cut. Make a choice. You have a choice. What? You are going to be amputated. What is amputation? Right hand or the left hand? Now, what difference does it make? Whether you choose the right hand or the left hand, totally you are the loser. Are you okay? This is the answering the question. Okay. Yes.
In roles, there is a difficulty in understanding roles, because sometimes if you're, it's like giving priority or importance to one role than the other one, then the other one suffers, and sometimes it keeps haunting you that you didn't fulfill that role at all. This is one side of the story. And the other side is, supposing you are a CEO of an organization and you cannot attend to any of the roles now, because that is important. How can one person play everything? That is also expecting, it's foolishness to expect something like that.
Yeah.
So then roles become conflicting, and then you have to do the roles also. Then you will not be able to do the role, and one person cannot do all the roles. One has to do only one role. I mean, I'm going mad about roles itself.
Yeah, she's going mad about roles. She's generally mad. Yeah. Narayanji, she's generally mad. Yeah. And yeah. A human being is combination of roles. It is not just one role. A human being is a combination of various roles put together. Venkatachalam, do you know who I called as mad just now? Do you know? You should also have the courage. My wife. Yeah. Venkat, class after the class, nothing can be told. Only here I can say all this. Only here I am saying all this. Foolish lady she is. A human being is a combination of all the roles put together. You can never have any one role. It's a combination of roles put together. The question is how effectively you are managing the roles, and what is the role that you have prioritized. You have a choice. You have various roles to play. Of the very many roles you play, you have a choice to prioritize the role. That is your choice. You should do that. Shastra will not come and say this is the priority role. That's not the role of the Shastras to say that. Are you able to follow? Shastra will not come and say the role of the mother is the priority, all other roles is secondary. It will not say that. You have very many roles to play. You choose your priority. That's your choice. Whatsoever you choose, you need not neglect the other. You need not neglect the other. The priority, various roles. Human being is a combination of various roles. And each role has its own specific place. What is your choice? You don't have freedom from all the roles. Your choice is to prioritize the roles. On what basis you prioritize? What is the basis upon which you will prioritize? Able to follow? The basis upon which you prioritize is the goal. What is your goal? According to the goal, you can prioritize. Are you able to follow? Without a goal, it will be a confusion only. It will be conflict. Or it keeps changing. So, you have various roles to play and you got to prioritize your roles, and you prioritize your roles based on your goal. What is the goal? Goal has to be self-defined. Goal cannot be fixed by somebody else. Only if you fix your goal, you will have energy to run. If it is fixed by somebody, it will be like dragging. If I fix the goal, I have to drag. If you fix the goal, you can run. Nobody can drag, isn't it? You only have to run. Therefore, how do you prioritize the roles? You prioritize the roles based on your goal. What is your goal? Whatever be it. It could be anything. And then you will not feel guilty. You will not feel that you are not doing justice to other roles. If you prioritize according to a higher goal, you will not feel guilty. If you don't prioritize according to a higher goal, you will feel guilty. What is the guilt? I am paying attention to one role, neglecting the others. Are you able to follow? So fix a goal. Fix the priority according to the goal, and the goal is that which has to be it has to be a self-driven goal. It cannot be, nobody can trust the goal on you. That's how you can manage feeling guilty that you are neglecting some other roles. The entire Ramayana story is about what? Any number of times I have said this. Entire Ramayana story is about what? This dilemma of a human being. What is that? Rama was trying to play all the roles to perfection there. That's the dilemma. That's why we call it as Rama Katha. Adu story dhan. You cannot do it like that in practical life. In practical life, it is a role and then accommodating all other roles to that goal, to that role. It is a role. And that role becomes your priority. On what basis that role is fixed? Upon your goal. Are you able to follow? Sequence. Goal, priority, other roles are aligned to it. You will not feel guilty that you are neglecting something. Otherwise, there is always a guilt that you are ignoring something, you are neglecting something. Are you able to follow? That's how it works. Remove the roles, there is no such thing called human being. Remove the roles, there is no such thing called human being. Remove the father, remove the son, remove the teacher, remove the friend, remove the enemy, remove all that. There will not be a person called Aravindan existing. The person itself is a combination of roles only, and you cannot avoid the roles. Why? That's why it's called obligation. The roles that you play becomes your obligations. Amongst the obligations, you have to prioritize your obligations. Are you able to follow now? All roles are obligatory. You cannot escape the roles. You can only prioritize that. You can only prioritize the obligations. It's not that for one obligation you get rid of the other obligation. You don't do that. You only prioritize. And if whatever you prioritize is the right thing for you to do. Others may agree, others may not agree. But as far as you are concerned, you are doing the right thing. Are you able to follow? All roles are obligatory roles. I have to be I have to play the role of the son. I have to play the role of the father. I have to play the role of the husband. I have to play the role of all the roles I have to play. Amongst all this, what is the krama that I follow? Krama means edu pannalum kramama pannanum, isn't it? What is the krama? What is the sequence I am going to follow in these roles? That is your choice. Everybody's choice. Understanding from this end, all roles are obligations. You can't escape from those obligations. You can only prioritize them according to the strength of your intellect. How will you prioritize? Depending on the strength of your intellect, you will prioritize. Okay, that's how it works. We have another question. In the same context?
No.
Oh, there is a different question. There are some questions now, Venkat.
Yes, Narayanan has posted.
Based on
Narayanan and Mala.
Based on the same verse only.
Yes, Narayan has.
About it.
Yeah. Verse number 20, there is a clarification from Narayan. Are those following God's extrovert? If so, how then their mind turns introvert to seek the self? Last line in commentary, para 3. They superimpose divinity upon material, thus rendering the mind introvert to seek the self within. Okay. Do they see self as enlivener, sakshi, or as a manifested unknown hand or power? Question number 3. Explain rights mentioned in para 3. Okay, all 3 questions in relation to chapter, verse number 20, chapter 7. The first question. Are those following God's in plural extrovert? Yes, they are extrovert. They are extroverted people. In extroversion, they are having a choice. Amongst the extroverts, they are better. Why they are better? They have a concept of divine supporting them. In that sense, they are slightly better than you can call them for understanding purpose, you can call them as material extrovert, spiritual extrovert. I'm just using words, huh? Doesn't you can be a material extrovert and you can be a spiritual extrovert. The spiritual extrovert is artaha artharthi jignasu. The spiritual extrovert is artaha artharthi jignasu, where they look for materialistic pursuits as an end in itself. So, to answer the first question, are those following God's extrovert? Yes, you can call them spiritual. You can call them spiritual extroverts. If so, if they are so, how then their mind turns introvert to seek the self? what happens is, since they are constantly associating with the divine to fulfill their material pursuits, the association with the divinity, the constant association with the divinity at one point of time turns them introvert. Again, I repeat. In the material extroverted pursuits, they will never turn introvert because there is no divine at all in their approach. In the spiritual extroverts, there is the divine. There is the divine. And what is that divine? That's where we saw those examples. Knowledge means Saraswati, wealth means Lakshmi, health means Dhanvantari. You know, we saw all that So, any materialistic result that is achieved is seen as the prasad from the divine. Who is a spiritual extrovert? They want wealth, they want materialistic pursuits, and when they get it, they will say it as, even normal worldly person says that, no, ella avaru kudutha sir. Ella avaru kudutha. He's not a bhakta. He's not an introverted bhakta. He's a spiritual extrovert. He wants it and he gets it. Are you okay till now? He wants it and he gets it. How he gets it? Krishna says, I make sure you will get it. I make sure that whatever you want, you will. If you want that wealth, you will get wealth. If you want power, you will get power. If you want health, you will get health. So, how do they turn introvert at one point of time? Because of the constant association with the divine, they will develop an interest in Shravana. From materialistic pursuits, they will develop an interest in Shravana first. They will want to listen to the Shastras. Shravana interest will start. And by continuous Shravana, Manana will begin. That's how the natural progress happens. Are you able to follow? Narayanji. This is how the natural progress happens. By the sheer divine, by the sheer pursuits, an interest in Shravana will start. And that Shravana will make, when they are in Shravana, the pros and cons are discussed, you know. When the pros and cons are discussed, the Manana starts. That's how they turn introvert. So that is why most of the time it is the spiritual extroverts that come for Shravana and turn introvert. An extroverted materialistic person straight away cannot become an introverted person seeking the self. This is how the sequence happens. Is it okay, Narayanji, the first answer? Very good. Sequentially, this is how it happens in everybody's life, or over a period of many lives, whatever it is. Okay. The second question is, do they see self as enlivener, Sakshi, or as a manifested unknown hand or power? How do they see God? The materialistic extroverts, how do they see God? The spiritual extroverts see God as a divine power that has the capacity to fulfill the wishes. If I do the right thing, I will get it, because God will make sure that I will get it. So they will not see God as enlivener Sakshi. Enlivener Sakshi is pure Vedanta, pure Jnana. They will not see God as enlivener Sakshi. They will see God as there is an unknown hand, there is an unknown power that is guiding everything. Like Swamiji keeps on saying, there is a divinity that shapes our ends. Every other lecture he keeps saying this, no? There is a divinity that shapes our ends. There is a divinity that shapes our ends. There is something that is making sure that everything goes smoothly for me. To that extent, they know God. They will not see God as Sakshi or enlivener. They cannot. If they see if they're starting to see God as Sakshi and Enlivener, it means refer chapter 3, verse 3. From Karma Yogena Yoginam, they have matured to Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. The maturity has happened. If people have started to see God as Sakshi, Enlivener, etc., the shift has happened. What is the shift? As said in chapter 3, verse 3. Karma Yogena Yoginam to Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. Is it okay? The third question. Explain rights mentioned in third paragraph. Because he says, in that verse he says, now I'll read the verse. Those deprived of wisdom approach other gods through various desires, resorting to corresponding rites led by their own nature. What does the word rites here means? Rites here means in order to fulfill the desire, what to do, what not to do. Rites here refers to what I should do and what I should not do. He does it so diligently, he does it so sincerely, he gets it. So rights here refer to what a person should do and what a person should not do. That's where in the fourth paragraph, if you read the commentary, the rights thus becomes different ways and means to achieve the ends. The last paragraph, the last sentence, rights means the different ways and means. What are the different ways and means? What to do, what not to do. So a person knows this is the desire, this is what I want, and the person exactly does what needs to be done, and the person avoids what needs to be avoided, meaning doing the corresponding rites, performing the corresponding rites led by their own nature. I'm not discussing by their own nature. I'm only discussing the word right. Right means rituals. Corresponding rituals you should put. Niyamam, beautiful Sanskrit word. This do's and don'ts is according to the word niyamam. Because if you look at the Sanskrit word is niyama. Niyama means discipline. Niyama means discipline. Discipline means, what is discipline? Do's and don'ts. That's all. No, what is discipline? Discipline is nothing but do's and don'ts. If a person says, I don't want do's and don'ts, means the person says, I will not be disciplined. If a person says, I want to be disciplined, means you should tell the person what to do, what not to do. So the right is, why it is translated as right? It's a philosophical word to mean ritual. It's a philosophical word to mean rites and rituals, they say, no? It is a philosophical word that talks about a ritual. Ritual means a dedicated, sincere action in order to get the fruit. Dedicated, sincere action in order to get the fruit. What are the fruit? It can be artha, it can be kama. Jignasu, artha, artharthi, jignasu. So, right here refers to the dedicated, disciplined actions. Dedicated, disciplined actions they do led by their own nature. You follow?
I follow.
Led by their own nature, they do it. Is it okay?
I'm okay.
This is how you can understand it. This is how you can. This is how you should understand the word right. Is it okay, Narayanji?
Yeah, the rites would include both the ritual which they perform in terms of having a Havan Kund on such rites, also as well as the skillful rites or what the profession calls for.
Both. 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 Very good. Rights here means the professional skills plus the devotional act. Both put together. The only professional skills is what is called material extrovert. Spiritual extrovert means they have the professional skill plus something. Everyone follow? Material extroverts will focus only on the skill. They say, I have the skill, I get it. No play of divine at all. What is a spiritual extrovert? They have the skill. In addition to the skill, the support of the divine is also sought. The support of the divine is sought along with the professional skill so that they can get the desired end. So it is a combination of both.
Okay.
That's where all our rituals are that, no, all our festivals are that, no. We will talk about skill and also we will start with the worship, isn't it? We start with the skill. It means we all understand that in order to drive the car, we need to know how to drive the car. We all know that. And yet before we start the car, we worship also, isn't it? Some of the cab drivers do that. So good so good to see that. No, they do that. They light the agarbatti, they put the flower, they touch the steering wheel, they do pronounce the steering wheel. They know that it's not the agarbatti is not going to drive the car. They also know the flower is not going to drive the car. They also know it is only the skill. So it is the skill plus something. And what is that plus something? The divine support. Are you able to follow? They seek both. That's why Krishna says all four are best. Even though they are material, even though they are spiritual extroverts, why Krishna calls all four are best? Because their kartrutva is slightly diluted. In the case of a material extrovert, their kartrutva is at a peak. In the case of a spiritual extrovert, there is a dilution of kartrutva. Because they understand that it's not only their professional skill, also something extra. That something extra is divine.
Follow.
Okay?
Thank you.
Is it okay, Narayanji?
I am okay.
Yeah. Mala. What is she asking? Oh.
Sir, pertinent points. So yeah, everyone, see, sir, I have one question, sir. Including the villains, Duryodhana's kind, everyone thinks, I mean, you made a very, very practical thing that don't do what you don't want others to do. But everyone thinks they are right, the other person is wrong. I mean, if they knew that they are doing wrong, I'm sure everyone will change. The point is nobody knows, including me or anyone doing making the mistake or making the problem. But so what is it that we do?
Yeah. Don't make me a part of that Goshti. I belong to a different nobody knows me. She made a sweeping statement. I'm saying, no. There are 2-3 people who knows. Mala, solunga. Yes.
So what is it that will help us to know where exactly we are going wrong? I mean, you said the symbol for knowing that we are going wrong is mental agitation. That I agree.
Yes.
But there, and I mean, you're talking about the scripture. I mean, I'm sure there is no specific scripture, but the point is, what is that we can, or how do we understand what I should do in any situation?
Yes. The question is, where do I get the script for the roles? That's what she said. Where do I get the script? Who gives the script? Who will give the script? Tasmat Shastram Pramanante. Shastras have defined the script. The Shastras have defined the script. We are not willing to accept the script. We want to make our own script. Shastras have given the script. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. And anything the Shastra says, people say, sir, adalla inda kalathukku it doesn't work, sir. In the modern day, it doesn't work. Therefore, how does one understand the Shastra? Shastra doesn't go into the nitty-gritty of the role playing. Shastra gives you a general guidance to the roles. It doesn't go into the specifics. That's not the role of the Shastra. Shastra gives you a general guidance. What is the general guidance? In every role, in all the roles, be as selfless as possible. Are you able to follow? Shastra will not tell you the nitty-gritty. Each and Vedanta will not talk about that. When I say Shastra here, I mean Vedanta. Vedanta will not go into the nitty-gritty. Vedanta will not go into the minute-to-minute planning, hour-to-hour planning, hour-to-hour schedule, minute-to-minute schedule and all. Vedanta doesn't give. Vedanta gives the principles that should guide all the roles. So what is the principle it says? Be as selfless as you can. In all the roles, prioritize the roles, do everything. In and through all this, what you should do? Be as selfless as possible. This is Vedanta. There are categories of text. Shruti, Smriti, Purana, Itihasa. These are the categories of text. Shruti only will give the principles. In this classroom, we are only talking from the Shruti angle. Shruti will give only the principles. Smriti gives the breakup. Smriti will give the hour to hour, day to day, season to season, month to month, yearly, annual, birth to death. All that the Smriti gives. And in this classroom, we don't discuss Smriti a lot. We discuss only the Shruti. Are you able to follow the difference, Mala? Those who find the Smriti also difficult to comprehend, in the form of stories, it will be told, which is Purana. That is also difficult. Itihasa helps. Itihasa means how actually people tried living it. How Rama actually tried living it. How Kumbhakarna actually tried living it. How Karna actually tried living it. How Vidura actually tried living it. How people violated it. Examples for violation: Ravana, Duryodhana, etc. They are the examples for violations. Dilemma. What are the examples of dilemma? Arjuna. Arjuna is an example of dilemma. Kumbhakarna is an example of dilemma. They are the dilemma. And then other category. Rama, Krishna, they knew exactly what they were doing, unmindful of the criticism. Unmindful of the criticism, their selflessness didn't reduce at all. Are you able to follow? Those who are unmindful of the criticism continue to serve without any reduction in their selflessness. They are called Udarana Purushas. They are called Udarana Purusha. Udarana Purusha means they are the touchstone. They are the benchmark. You understand the word Udarana? Leading by example. They are the Udarana Purushas. So, the script is from the Smriti, Itihasa, Purana. Mala. Script comes from Smriti, Itihasa, Purana. In this classroom, we are talking about, since we are talking from the angle of Shruti a lot, we avoid going into those details. Because if we start going into those details, we cannot study Bhagavad Gita. We'll be studying morals and ethics, right and wrong, good and bad. We are not saying it is wrong. We are saying we are trying to see the common guidelines, that the common principles that pervades all the roles. So where do you get the script from? The script is gotten from technical answer. Smriti, Purana, Itihasa, Dharma Shastra, all this gives the script. In this classroom, we are not worried about, we are not discussing the script text. We are talking about the principles. And Shruti talks about the principles. That is why we say in our culture, the script is not a problem at all, because the script is not a problem at all because so consciously, unconsciously, subconsciously, through the stories, everything, it is being constantly, the script is fed. We know the script. It's not that we do not know the script. The problem is the script is unacceptable. Angadam problem starts. Are you able to follow? It is not knowing what the script is. It is not able to accept that is what I should do. Problem comes there. Why? Because we say modern times, things are changing. Therefore, we also should change. If not, people foolishly stick to the paraphernalia and they get stuck. And great masters come and remove the people's attachment to paraphernalia and bring them back to the concepts. What is attachment to paraphernalia? Vivekananda says the entire religion is confined to kitchen. In India, religion is very easy, he says. In India, being religious is very easy. Why? Because it's all ladies matter and kitchen matter. Because it's all connected only to the kitchen. Kitchen means what to cook, what not to cook. Romba orthodox in which vessel to cook. That's all, isn't it? Every day, if you have pongal, you will make it in the rice pressure cooker. On the Sankranti day, if you have to make pongal, you will make in all of that difference, isn't it? Same pongal, it doesn't make any difference. Are you able to follow? Every day you will make it in the cooker. On the Sankranti day, it will be made in the, I don't know, that vessel. Oh my God. When Sankranti, because I know, because I feel so sorry for my mother setting it up. I will sit and help her out with all that. A time came where I felt like saying no Sankranti at all. Why? Because hold on to. Are you able to follow? So the script is maintained. The knowledge of the script is there. The flexibility comes. That's where, if you know the principle, carefully follow. I'm reconciling now. If you know the basic principle, you know where to be adaptable, where to be flexible, where not to be adaptable, where not to be flexible. You will know that. That's why we are focusing on the principles. We are focusing on the principles because understanding the principle will bring about the adaptability. And when you are adaptable, you will not feel guilty. Otherwise, there is a guilt. You know, practically you have to do, but Shastric wise it is wrong, sir. Yeah. Oh, wow. And then time will come where a irreligious life is better than a religious life. Mala. Answer, Acha. Yeah. We have one last question. Inama?
Yes, to an extent it answered, sir.
Okay. Yeah. To an extent, fully in Solomatendra. Yeah. To an extent. It's okay. Even to that, whatever extent, it is good. Yes.
So can I ask two
Yes.
questions that I said yesterday that I couldn't ask?
Yeah, 1 minute, ma. There is another question in the same context. I'll take it and then I'll come to that. Yes.
So I have three questions. The first one is, so does Katritra Bhavana come out of self-love, and what are the consequences of self-love, and how do you not reduce it basically? And the second thing is, how does Karma Yoga and relationships, how does it affect the relationship with people, and how do they coexist, in life?
Yes.
Kind of like that. And you can't enjoy life if you only Karma Yoga is your only principle in life. You can't enjoy it. So, and you supposed to enjoy life.
So that, and the third is what this so you like what is this third I so I yeah.
So she has asked various questions. I'll take up from the question that irritated me the most and then we'll answer. The question that,
Irritated me.
yeah, the question that irritated me the most is, if you are only doing karma yoga, how can you enjoy life? She's asking. Shankar, correct then? If you are doing only karma yoga, how can you enjoy life? It means karma yoga and enjoyment are different, two different things. The only way to enjoy is Isavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagadyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitam. The only way to happiness is being selfless. Karma yoga, that's the only way to happiness. There is no other way to happiness. It's not of the very many ways to be happy. Karma yoga is one. Don't take it like that. Karma yoga is the only way to be happy. So yeah. You give an answer, they will get switched off, and then rest of the things they will not even. Yeah, that's it. That's the trick. You give an answer and switch off the other person, and then you can say whatever you want to say. Yeah. What is self-love? What is self-love? Anything and everything must be according to my demands, my wishes, my likes and dislikes. That is self-love. My demands, my wishes, my likes and dislikes. If I like it, it should be there. If I don't like it, it should not. This is self-love. Self-love means attention on oneself. And what does attention on oneself means? Attention on their raga dvesha. And manipulating the other to fulfill one's own raga dvesha. This is called self-love. This is called self-love. Your likes and dislikes matters. Your likes and dislikes matter. You are the one who matters. Wherever you go, you should be the center of attraction, isn't it? Elsewhere, I heard, even if you want to go to a funeral also, you want to be the center of attraction. In the funeral, who's the center of attraction? Nabha? Vijay. Who's the attraction in a funeral? What is the center of attraction in a funeral? The dead body there, no? But the Kartrutva will want that person to be the center of attraction. Even they say, why garlands are put to the dead body? Usually they should put to me, no? If you go to marriage, who's the center of attraction in the marriage? Ram Subramaniam. The couple getting married, isn't it? Anga pona kuda, attention will be on. Oh, they didn't take care of me, they didn't respect me, they didn't give me food. They are so worried. Everybody should focus on the couple and that's it. This is called self-love. Are you able to follow? Tiring is to cater to self-love. You get extremely fatigued, tired, agitated if your focus is only that. Why? Why you get extremely fatigued and tired? Because you are in a constant war. Why you are in a constant war? You are not the only one who's doing that. As you are doing that, what is the other one doing? What is the other one doing? Exactly the same thing. So you will do something to attract the attention and the other also will do something to attract the attention and then there will be a fight. Who gets that? Who attracts better? Who attracts better? This is called self-love. And what is karma yoga? What is karma yoga? A discipline by which I take the attention out of myself. and do that which I ought to do is Karma Yoga. A discipline by which I take the attention out of a discipline by which I take the attention out of myself and bring the attention on the other is Karma Yoga. Kartrutva reduces in Karma Yoga. That's how Kartrutva reduces. And the last question that she asked, which I already answered, is if I'm only doing Karma Yoga, where will I get entertainment, uncle? Yeah, that's the question. For which the answer is you should do only Karma Yoga. Okay. Last question and we conclude for today. Test yes.
Spiritual extrovert, seeker type 1 onna. That's Karma Yogi, because you said that over a period of time, when you are in
wait.
As Manana starts and you are doing Shravana starts and you into Shravana.
In some class, I will call it a seeker type 1. In some class, I will say material, spiritual, extrovert. Don't compare like that. Don't keep comparing like that. These are all just, they are not absolute concepts. They are said something to explain a particular verse. Are you able to follow? Don't connect it like that. Because in some other context, I said, I don't know what all I said. Non-seeker type 1, type 2, seeker type 1, type 2. Now don't compare that with what I said. So other that is separate. This is separate. Don't mix it up like that. Are you able to follow? It's wrong to compare like that. Only the confusion will go on increasing. Nothing will happen. Isn't it? What will happen? From madness, it will become super madness. From confusion, it will become super confusion. That will follow. Don't compare it like that. That's all, no? Okay. We continue with the questions in the next one.